Hey guys, Prangell Gaming here, welcome back to Talk the Wall. This is the 40th instalment. Before we get right into any of your responses or questions you may have had, if you haven't seen any of the other 39 instalments, then why not go check them out. There's going to be a link in the description of this video to the last Talk the Wall. Alternatively, if you have missed an episode, then click the I button and catch up with the episodes that you may have missed. But as always, if you have any questions or opinions, do feel free to put them in the comments section of this video because I want a Millwall voice throughout. Or even if you're an opposing fan and just happen to find this podcast, let me know what you think about Millwall and even the game that you play, and we'll have a talk about that in the upcoming week. Now, while you're down in the comments section, why not leave your predictions for how you feel the games against Shrewsbury Town, which is tonight, or on a Saturday, the game that we're against Gillingham for. Now, if you want to, you could add what you felt went right and wrong in those matches, but either way, I will cover them next week. With this podcast, do bear in mind, I recorded it on the Saturday night, so if any new news stories become available or have appeared, then I'll talk about them next week, as for if any news stories do appear. Moving on to your predictions for this week, and 3 of you got the score prediction right for the one that was against Sheffield United. And those 3 were Liam Gaming 2, Harry Greenaway and Riley Solo. So congratulations to all 3 of you that got the score right. Now, I do feel the mood was slightly dampened by the fact we actually lost that game, and obviously we expected them to beat us regardless. Now, Liam also added that he reckoned Billy Sharp would get a double, but he hoped we was wrong as he couldn't see us winning, and ended with meh. While Riley Solo said that he had given up after predicting the scoreline right again. The VeggieTube was 1 goal off the right scoreline as he said United would win 3-0. Joe Holloway then said if the formation wasn't changed we'd lose 3-0, but if it did change then we would get a 2-2 draw. And the final person to predict was Danny Norris, who expected Millwall to win 2-1. Unlucky with that prediction. What about when we played against Scunthorpe United? Well, the closest predictor was Liam Gaming 2, who said that Millwall would win 2-1, with Lee Gregory and Aidan O'Brien scoring the goals for Millwall, while Paddy Madden would score for the Irons. He was only 1 goal off, and Aidan O'Brien did score, so he got that one right. Liam also ended with meh. Next closest was the VeggieTube, who said Millwall would win 2-0, and Harry Greenaway was just off as he said the game would end 1-0 to Millwall. The final 2 predictors were Joe Holloway and Riley Solo, who said that Millwall would lose 2-0 to the Irons. Joe Holloway also added that if we changed formations, he reckoned we'd win 2-1. I always leave 2 questions for you guys to answer, and so with this week's first question, I have said, why do you think we struggle against the weaker sides? And well, 2 people responded with this one, and what I'm going to do is I'll read out the shorter one first and then we'll go through it. So the first was by Liam Gaming 2, who said, I think we struggle because the team goes in expecting to win the match. And now with this one, I kind of agree with you here. That winning mentality is something that the players just, I think, have come to expect because they were so well on the run. They'll say otherwise, and a lot of fans would disagree, but I do feel they kind of expect to beat the smaller sides because, you know, they're not Premier League sides. They beat 3 Premier League sides after all, so that may be where we're actually going wrong at the moment. The other person to comment was Harry CD, whose comment was much longer, but I believe this one was a very interesting one. So what I'll do is I will read the response and then I'll pull it apart bit by bit, or the parts that I actually think are very good to talk about. And well, Harry CD said, I think that the reason we don't beat the smaller teams is due to there maybe being a bit of arrogance in our Millwall team, which at times is good, but now I think our players don't really take anyone in the lower half of the table as serious contenders and undermine them. However, I also think, as much as it pains me to say, our support and attendance isn't good enough when we play a regular league game. It's proven our support can push players over the line to beat the champions of England. So we made noises in the stands, and I believe we're more likely to win if we have those type of numbers at games like when we played Bury. I want to end by saying, on a whole, our support is like Fanta as a club in most occasions, and always will be. And the fans on Saturday who were chanting curse words at our players aren't going to make it any better. The booing is disgraceful. Right, so there's obviously a lot to take in with this answer. I want to pull it apart, as I said before. And so the first bit that I want to talk about is the fact that he says that there is a bit of arrogance in the squad, and well, I agree with him there. I do feel that obviously he's an angry fan and upset with what's happening at the moment. I understand that completely, and I do agree that it would maybe to some extent be about the FA Cup run, because we were so outstanding during that run, beating 3 Premier League teams, and it was a great achievement, and it means that we're too confident of our ability, and because now we go into a game expecting to easily walk over the teams in League One, and also it's not helped by the fact we went on such a long unbeaten run, and so it really isn't useful when you go on a good run, because when you're off of it, it then means the gaps that you didn't see when you was winning could become a lot more noticeable, and it isn't exactly easy to sort it out from there. The next point is the attendance. I have to agree with you, for some time we just don't have the right numbers at the club. I've just seen it so often, and if these fans would turn up, say for example to the MK Dons game, they're a relatively decent side, and at the Den this was where we obviously played, so our attendance, if I just read off a stat for you, was 9,636,000 people. This differed from when we played Leicester. Now before you say, oh come on, they're a Premier League side, and yes they are the champions of England, that's kind of irrelevant in my opinion. Either way, you're supporting the club, the team you're meant to back, win or lose. So the numbers of 18,012 is incredibly unfair on those players who perform at their best when large numbers come to watch them. And that, to be honest, is another huge reason why I just think we struggle at points. When you just have 9,000, when you can have 18,000, it really isn't useful. I know we're in League One, but that is no excuse whatsoever. The first question I'll be asking you this week is, who is to blame for the club's mistakes? Would you blame Harris or the players for expecting wins or just not getting those wins over the line? The first person to leave his comment was Joe Holloway, who said, I apologise if I did offend anyone with the chant, I just felt it was interesting. And I actually know Joe, and I know he didn't mean any harm or offence by it. He's a great person, and I say it's better that he raised the issue than just not talk about it, because when you don't talk about issues, they just get bigger and bigger and they pile up, and it's not worth not talking about things, especially in this community. We're a tightly knit community, so it was much better that you said that. Bring it to some people's attention. I know quite a few people may have known that, just not wanted to say it. But yeah, I don't really know what's happening with that, but thank you for at least apologising and just clearing that all up. Harry Greenaway then said, do you think we'll make the playoffs? And well, the best response I can give to this one is that yes, Millwall being Millwall have made it very hard for themselves, messing up in games that we had in hand, and well, obviously we do have some interesting games coming up. Obviously, a couple to name. We got Fleetwood, Oxford and Bristol Rovers as some sides that are battling promotion, and then we've got to go up against Gillingham and Shrewsbury that are battling to stay in the league. So these games aren't going to be easy, but I believe we can do it, and we're at our best when we're playing the stronger sides. We might struggle against Gillingham and Shrewsbury, but Gillingham, they're one of our rivals. We do well against our rivals the majority of the time. So I think we could give it a good go, especially now that we've beaten Scunthorpe. I mean, if we don't, it's not the worst thing in the world, but it'd be nice to see whether we can do it or not. The Veggie Tube was the next person to leave his comment, and he said, Mill do not have a plan B. The only thing we do is hoof it up to Morrison for him to get a flick on. Do you agree? And before I say anything, Harry CD said, wholeheartedly, I agree with that. And with this comment, I was all on board to say that the style of play is the play that we've had for years, and well, it's the Millwall way. But if we look at the game against Scunthorpe, Harris showed that the squad can play in different ways. We played it on the floor, and I'm going to be honest, I thought that was quite interesting. We want to see a change in formation. A lot of Millwall fans do. They say don't play 4-4-2, and I don't agree with that. I don't buy into that. Ian Holloway tried a 4-3-3, and that didn't work. I think what you fans want is you want some nice football, and we got that against Scunthorpe. And well, I know we don't want to hoof it up the pitch, and well, it seems that we know how to play football that isn't just doing doing that. So maybe let's see how it goes. I think that we've got quality within our ranks. I know that we can play some nice football. They obviously showed it against Scunthorpe. So I don't know whether you would be happy with a change based on formation, or you just want to see some nice football. I honestly think that would be the real reason here. But obviously, I may well be wrong. I will hold my hands up if we don't change formation and we do struggle. But I just think 4-3-3, it wouldn't work for us. It's just not the way we go. And obviously we did well against Scunthorpe, so maybe that was a one-off, but it seemed to be a very nice game of watching Millwall play some football. Riley Solo then said two things. The first being hashtag singing with Prangell. Please. No, I don't want to hear that anymore. I hate the fact that people keep saying, can you make a singing section? I do not want to. I get why you're joking about it, and I do love that we can all have a simple joke about this, but on a serious note, I do want to say something. I have a brother who's a musician, he plays the guitar, he's in year 10, and he does sing some songs, so maybe is that something you want to hear? I've been trying to get him to do YouTube for a while now. He doesn't really know whether he wants to do it or not. I mean, I have recording equipment, I could maybe record some videos of him doing it. I don't know, is that something you want to see? Just let me know if you do. I mean, it's just something to throw out there. I mean, I don't know. I think he's alright, but it's up to you guys. Would you like to see if I can coax him into maybe singing something or playing his guitar? Maybe not on this channel, but maybe on another channel. Just let me know. Riley Solo's second comment was, do you think we should sign Billy Sharp? And my answer to this just would be no. I don't think we would be after Billy Sharp at all at any point, because he's 31 years old. I didn't know whether you know that or not, but you do now, and well, that definitely wouldn't be playing for the future. We need an experienced striker, I know, but 31 years old, I kind of feel that's a little bit too old. But he's an amazing player. He does suit Sheffield United, and I believe he's a top goal scorer at the moment. So he would be an interesting signing, but in my opinion, I think it'd cost too much. Plus, I just don't think it's a type of signing Millwall would make. Liam Gaming 2 then came up with a large number of comments, so let's get into what he said. And well, he's going to start with some songs. So they were Lee Gregory, Lee Gregory, Lee Gregory, Lee Gregory, then me. He then followed that up with Super, Super Nil, Super, Super Nil, Super, Super Nil, Super Nil Harris, me. Liam then said, no one likes us, no one likes us. No one likes us, we don't care, we are Millwall, Super Millwall, we are Millwall, from the den, meh. And his final chant was, he's one of our own, he's one of our own, Ben Thompson, he's one of our own. Moving into Liam's actual comments, and the first one was, do you think we'll ever be in the Premier League? And I'm going to be honest with you here, Liam, I just think it's very unlikely. I don't think it'll happen. It's not impossible, nothing's impossible, but I do seriously doubt that it's going to happen anytime soon. I'm going to be honest, especially under the current ownership. I don't hate Belson at all, but I just don't think he has enough money to see us into a place like the Premier League. I mean, if he did, and we successfully stayed in there, he would have a lot of money, but I just think that we would struggle to even get there, as the Premier League needs a lot of financial backing. He doesn't have that sort of money. Well, he may do, but he doesn't put it into the club if he does, so I think he puts enough money into the club for where we are, but I don't think he can do it for seriously competing, like, in the Premier League, for say. And, well, if you just look at a couple of the clubs that have fallen out the Prem, I mean, a couple to name would be Wigan, Fulham, Wolves. They're just not very good, and also you don't take into account Bolton and Portsmouth. They kind of run out of money, and then it doesn't go well from there. So maybe let's just put a hold on that Premier League thought. It may not be the best thing at the moment. Liam then asked a difficult question, which was, do you think we need a new manager? And someone asked me this a while back, and the answer was no, and I'm going to keep it at no. I don't think that we do need a new manager. We are the same Mill side that won those games and obviously drew and went on that unbeaten run of 16 games in the league. And, well, I'd say during the run we still struggled. I wouldn't say that we were amazing. A large chunk of those games were lucky wins. I mean, let's take an example, Peterborough and MK Dons. They were due to a lucky penalty in each game. Harris isn't, and I don't think will ever be, a bad manager for Millwall. I think he's had to do an incredible job, and I think fans seem to forget what he's done for this club. I mean, he had to turn a club around that was probably going to be going free-fall in relegation. The morale was low, and when he took the job in April 2015, he had to get rid of a bunch of players that were there for the money. I mean, he released 18 players. That ain't an easy job to do, and that was a brave decision to do. And, well, he's had to basically rebuild their club. So, even if we didn't go up in the next 2 years, I wouldn't have a problem with Neil Harris. I'd be upset, obviously. We want to be playing Championship football, but he's still rebuilding this club. And, really, I don't know whether he can sign the best of players. We'll have to see in the upcoming future whether he's going to be able to bring players in or not. If so, then we're going to have someone intervene with trying to make some transfers happen, but we'll see that later on down the line. Do you think that Jake Cooper will stay? Was his next comment, and my answer to this comment is, I reckon we won't keep him. It's just due to the fact that if we don't get promoted, it's going to be very hard for us to actually fund the deal. And, well, surely some of you have heard some transfer rumours in January that Stoke and West Ham were interested in him. Yes, I know they were transfer rumours, but obviously there are some truths to rumours. And they were saying that their wages could be afforded by those clubs, and they're Premier League clubs, so that's a lot of money. Even if we got promoted to the Championship, I don't know whether we'd have that money. We could maybe spend $1 million on him, but there are a lot of clubs circling him. He is an up-and-coming English defender. I don't think this one's going to happen. Liam then asked, if Cooper was to stay, do we need to get another centre-back of Cooper's quality? And no would be my answer to that. I feel that if we do keep him, we have a stronger defence, with Webster and Hutch being able to do the job. Plus, some people seem to forget Sid Nelson. Now, I'm not the greatest of fans of Sid, and he's currently out on loan at Newport County, but he's getting some nice bit of game time, and I feel that Sid will be a player that we'll have to consider next season. He's still only 21 years old, and he has plenty of time to become a Lion legend, and I do seriously think that he could become one, but he's just got to get stronger on the ball. But we're obviously C. I think we have a good defence, and if Cooper stays or not, that wouldn't matter. I still think we'd have a great defence. Following that, he asked, do you think we need a new midfielder? And with this one, I have to say, I think our midfield's good enough to do the job statistically if we look at the relevant midfielders in our team, which are Shaun Williams, who's currently 30, Ben Thompson, who's 21, and Callum Butcher, who is 26. And as for stats, Williams has played 47 matches and scored 5 while assisting 5 goals. Not a bad return for a player that tries a lot of long shots. While Thompson has played 42 and scored and assisted nothing. Now, that's not a fair assumption on Thompson and his game because he's more of a defensive, ball-winning terrier midfielder, in my opinion. So if he doesn't score, it doesn't matter. I mean, I don't think he scored that many goals for us. The only one I can really remember is the one that he amazingly scored against Shrewsbury last season. Finally, Butcher has played 35 while scoring 2 goals and getting no assists. Butcher's been a player that's also not got too much game time in terms of actually starting matches, so I think again it's not so much of a fair assumption to just look at the 35 matches played and only 2 goals. I think he's still quite a solid midfielder. He needs more time playing though. Do you think we'll go up was Liam's second to last question, and I believe that I answered that many times, and maybe like the playoff response from Harry Greenway's comment, I say that we would have a chance, and it's all due to if we turn our form around, because if we don't, we could fall quite quickly down the league, but if we do, then we are in with a chance as good as any team to battle for that playoff spot. Liam's final comment was, do you think we need a plan B? And I reckon we do, but I couldn't say what that would be because we do so much Route 1 lumping it over the top. I just reckon that another formation, another style of play may be needed, but I can't say. I don't know whether that would be, obviously, the best way forward. Only Harris will know that, and we played pretty well against Scunthorpe, so maybe there's another style that's needed. If we could play the ball on the floor a bit more, then that would be nicer to watch, and fans maybe not so upset with that. But I don't know necessarily whether a plan B would be the option, just maybe a different way of going about things. Last week I asked a question which was, who would leave and stay in your opinion? And Danny Norris said, for me, Harry Smith in. He's our future striker. We may as well get some first team football out of him as he may maybe nick a goal or 2. Which is a good view if I'm going to be honest. While we're struggling, I think we should actually let a few more of our players get involved in one of our worser runs. And maybe, you never know, they might score some more goals and get involved in the team. What's the worst thing that can happen? We're already struggling. Riley Solo also chipped in with his answer to saying, to leave, I think that Fred, whatever his last name is, Lee Gregory and Neil Harris, which is an interesting view because Fred, a lot of fans do want to leave, but I still think he's sitting on the fence over his deal. Lee Gregory has obviously not had the best of seasons, and Neil Harris is obviously the manager. I don't think Neil would go though. I asked a third question last week, which was if a player is playing poor, should they be allowed to play through their form and be given chances to turn it around if they've had too many chances already? And Riley Solo was the only person to respond saying, no, I think that players that are poor need to be dropped like Thompson, which in my view I have to agree with. Is actually Neil Harris gives these players too much time to turn around poor form. If they're on a bad run of form, after a while I do think you have to actually drop them. My second question this week is to do with the league, and it is who has been the best players in each position and also the best manager. Let me know in the comments section down below. Let's take a look at this week's Loan Watch, and we're going to start with seeing how Greg Wild's Northampton side did when they took on Rochdale, and in this game it ended 1-1 with Greg not even making the bench for this week. Sid Nelson's the next player that we're going to be talking about, and he came on very late to oversee an important 1-0 win over Crawley Town, which sees them now need 5 points plus scoring a positive 3 goals more, and they may actually stay in the league. While we're in League 2, we might as well talk about David Ford's Portsmouth side, who had a comfortable 2-0 win over strugglers Hartlepool United, with Ford playing the full match and keeping his 18th clean sheet of the season. He has been outstanding while on loan to Pompey. Moving down into the non-league, and we see that only Chris Twaddock started for Braintree Town in their 3-0 loss away to York City, though Kyron Farrell did come on in the 74th minute, and Twaddock also got subbed off. Malubu didn't actually feature in this game. Alfie Pavey started against Hemel Hempstead when his side drew 2-2, with Pavey being subbed off when they were leading 2-1. He didn't actually score in this one though. As for Harry Donovan, who actually plays for Greenwich Borough FC, which is Gary Alexander's side, he would be involved in a team that would have a lot to remember, but he wouldn't be involved in the celebrations, as even though his side won 5-0 against Herne Bay, he got sent off in the 55th minute. Probably not the best of times for the youngster. Mill played 2 matches this week, the first being a 2-0 loss to Sheffield United, who were table toppers, while the second match was a 3-1 win over Scunthorpe United. When we played against Sheffield United, we had spells in the game where we were great, but after 16 minutes we were behind to a Jack O'Connell header after previously him coming pretty close with another effort, and we also went a second goal down, which would actually seal our fate in this one, as Freeman managed to curl the ball beautifully into the back of the net, and after that Millwall only had 2 chances that were just saved by the keeper in that one. But of course, as mentioned, Millwall did win 3-1 against Scunthorpe United. In that game, we actually played really well, obviously going into it from bad form. But from start to finish, the game was fantastic for Millwall. We played some nice football, and in the 3rd minute, Shaun Williams, the midfielder, converted a penalty. And moving further into the game, Morris would go and miss a free kick, which would just go over the bar, and Millwall would miss a couple of tap-ins until Shane Ferguson would finally convert a Jed Wallace cross, making that Wallace's first assist into the season. Now into the second half, and more later on into the game, and Craig would find Aidan O'Brien to flick it into the back of the net and make it 3-0, and Millwall almost got away and actually kept a clean sheet, but Crooks headed the 1 goal in late on for Scunthorpe, and really that was the last move of the game, so nothing happened after that point. As for the player of the week, I'm going to have to give it to midfielder Shaun Williams, as this week he actually got into my Sheffield United man of the match, and even though he didn't actually make my player of the match for the Scunthorpe game, he was outstanding. I think you guys would agree with me, and he was most consistent during those 2 matches. Now it's time for the ups and downs, and this week we're going to start with the Championship, and as all 3 sides remain in the relegation zone, we do have some official news to be delivering. Yes, that is right. Rotherham, who are 24th in the league, lost 1-0 to Fulham thanks to a Sonaluko goal, have actually been confirmed relegated. They are playing in League 1, which could potentially be playing us next season. And I'm going to be honest, this surely shouldn't come as a shock. They've conceded a whole 88 goals and lost 30 of their 39 games. Probably not the best of seasons if you're a Rotherham fan. 23rd are Wigan Athletic, who almost pulled off a great result but ultimately lost 2-1 to Newcastle United as the table toppers found themselves level in the 50th minute. But Dwight Gale was having none of that and scored a winner in the 7th minute later from that. So 57 minutes, meaning that Wigan are now in more trouble, but they do have a positive, facing struggling Ipswich next week. Blackburn Rovers are the final team in the relegation zone as they sit 22nd and are still unbeaten with Tony Mowbray as their manager. They only need a win to take them out of the drop zone. They currently have 40 points, and with high-flying Reading up next, it could be an incredible task for them to remain unbeaten. Moving down into League 2, and we have another bit of official news to be delivering. Two sides that obviously could be affected by winning and losing have been, and in this league it's going to be the side that won. Doncaster Rovers thrashed Grimsby Town 5-0 with a hat-trick coming from John Marquis, a former Millwall player. He's now also the league's top scorer with 26 goals, an amazing feature. Rovers have 81 points and are now a whole 6 points clear of second place Plymouth. That means they only have to win 4 more games, and that would confirm that Darren Ferguson's side would be the league winners. Second are Plymouth Argyle, who suffered a shock defeat to mid-table Accrington Stanley, and with this defeat it actually looks like they're 10 points clear of falling out the playoffs, which to be honest isn't a worry, and they only need 4 more wins and they will definitely be getting promoted. Third and finally are David Ford's Portsmouth side, who sit 71 points in the league, which is 6 points clear of Stevenage, and they do have a chance of falling back into the playoffs, but with 6 matches remaining, surely Portsmouth will be playing League One football next season. Now on to our final section of the podcast, and that is the Millwall news. With this week's news being 3 stories ranging from Neil Harris saying there is no truth to the transfer rumours and going to Lee Gregory actually now being injured. We start our news with Neil Harris saying that Tom King is not subject of interest from Everton Football Club, but the story is made up like many transfer rumours. Marlon Romeo is where the second story comes from, as the defender said that Mill need to stick together as a defensive unit and start trying to turn their form around. And that was before the Scunthorpe United game, and if anything's to go by from that match, it seems they're starting to take what Marlon said seriously, and he also featured against Scunthorpe with that match. Finally, Lee Gregory is injured with a tear in his stomach lining. This saw him miss the match against Scunthorpe, and Neil Harris has also said he doesn't know when Gregory will be back in a Millwall shirt. Gregory had surgery to do with a similar injury at the end of last season during the playoff time, and Harris obviously has come out and said that he doesn't know when he will be back, and it's unlikely that he'll be playing in the game against Shrewsbury tonight. So that is all we got time for today. Do feel free to put your questions and opinions in the comments section for the next Talk the Wall. However, before I go, don't forget to put your score predictions for the matches against Shrewsbury Town and Gillingham in the comments section, as next week I'll be covering the game and highlighting the good and bad points. And why don't you tell me your opinions of those matches and Millwall as a whole? So like, comment, subscribe, and of course I will see you guys next week for the next Talk the Wall. But until then, goodbye.
We are heroes tonight.